Well, friends, we are going to start our today's session. Uh, by this time, we have developed some understanding about what is international trade and what is international business. Is it not? So, in the previous session, I was telling you, or in the very introductory session, I was telling you what is the content of our syllabus, right? I think all of you might have gone through your syllabus. If you want, I can show you once again. The several modules are there. Should I show you once again? What is the content of the syllabus, and we had developed a basic understanding on international business. Let me show you once again very quickly. Yes, in the previous session I was showing you that our syllabus contains these 5 modules. So let us first talk about the module 1. Module 1, we need to discuss about international trade, which includes various concepts of international trade, importance of international trade, benefits of international trade, and international marketing versus domestic marketing. What are the differences we need to understand? Okay, so we need to understand what is international marketing, what is domestic marketing. Then we'll try to find out the difference between these two. Then theory of international trade. So two theories are specifically mentioned in our syllabus, that is theory of comparative cost and factor production theory. We'll be learning various other theories also. And right now, we'll be entering into the subject. So earlier also we are discussing that if somebody want to start a business, then he takes various kinds of decisions. Right? In any business, these are the key decisions which are involved, which we have already discussed. First decision is that what is that project and what is that business. One person needs to decide on that. Second issue is that if someone wants to start a business, then what is necessary is money or capital is needed. He needs to decide where from he can arrange that money. Third issue is that money will be available, but money is available at what cost? That is one more important factor. Right? Money has got a cost, or capital has got a cost. Those who have studied finance, they know there is something called as the cost of capital. So how to handle that cost? Again, for day-to-day activities of the management, some other money is required, some additional money is required. That is called as the working capital. So from the finance point of view, these are the key issues involved in any business, right? Apart from that, also some non-financial decisions are taken in any business, like let us say marketing decision, operating decision, HR decision, so many other decisions are taken. Okay, so now I think this gives you a broad idea that when we're talking about a business, it involves these decisions, right? Okay, and
Yes, sir.
yeah, in the previous class also I was explaining you, business manager takes various decisions. He collects money from financial market and he converts the money into real assets. When you do a business means we convert that money into asset, right? So we are collecting money. Let's say we're buying raw material. Raw material is an asset, or you're buying some fixed assets, or let us say you're constructing a building, buying machinery. So what we are doing, what the business manager is doing, he's converting that money into real asset, and real assets gives return. Return comes to the business manager in the form of money, and business manager returns a part of that money to the financial market again, because they have provided the money, they need some kind of return, and the part of the money is also retained in the business. Okay, so money collected, money used, then money generated, and that same money is returned to the market and also kept in the business for future growth. I think you have understood this chart. I had explained you earlier. Once again, let me tell you, I think you have understood this chart. Okay. So most of the business, or in any business, if you talk about any business, then these are the activities involved in a business. Yes or no? Yes or no? Are you listening? Are you listening or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please keep on responding. Now, and there are various names for these decisions. Broadly, we have discussed that thing. Now, let us coming to the development of international business. Right, you can see in the year international business was there. It is a pretty, you can say, old concept. Long back also international business was there. But recently, you can say 1991 onwards, we have seen this kind of substantial growth in the field of international business. When India opened up its economy, so we have seen after that, imports, exports, everything has improved. Consequently, we are seeing a big change in international business. And now it is necessary, almost necessary for all of us, those who are interested to learn business, to understand the concepts of international business. Okay. Now, let us first understand the meaning of this. As you can see in this slide, so you already know what is domestic business, is it not? Let us say I'll be talking about something opposite to international business. So I can refer to it as domestic business. So what is domestic business? Can you tell me? This is domestic business. Can you tell me?
So domestic business is business conducted within the country.
Yeah, within the country. That is what we understand. But now you see most of the businesses that is happening directly or indirectly, they involve many countries. Okay. Maybe some of the products are either directly or indirectly imported from other countries. Or maybe your production equipments are imported from other countries. Maybe some of the products are exported to other countries. That means day by day, business is getting more and more internationalized or more and more globalized, you can say. Okay. Are you agreeing or not? So in your day-to-day
Yes,
life
sir.
also, you can find many products which are might have come from the international market. Okay, it might have produced in some other country, maybe marketed in one country, maybe these are assembled in some other country. So you can find all these things. Meaning the business activities has expanded beyond the geographical boundaries. Okay, the expansion of business activities beyond the geographical boundary of a country can be referred to as international business. Right? And or in different way, if you want to say, this kind of business or international business involves more than one country. So at least two countries are involved in international business. Okay. Or you can also say it's a kind of business which has got significant foreign operation. Okay. There is a significant amount of foreign operations is there. Might be some of the activities are operated from outside the country. Maybe decisions are taken from outside the country. Maybe manufacturing activities conducted some other area, some other country. So when there is a significant foreign operation, we can refer to that business as international business, or in some situations, we can also refer to as multinational business. Okay. And in the entire world business, now international business comprises a large portion of the global business constitutes international business now. And one of the peculiarity of this business is that it involves or this has to be conducted in a diversified environment. You have to deal with different countries, and these different countries has got different kind of economic environment, different business environments are there. Right? Let us say you are operating in a country, might be by and large, or mostly the business environment is same throughout the country. Let us say tax rate is same. Okay, you have understood your customers. You know this particular things will be on demand. But coming to international market, this demand situation taxation, economic environment, all these things are changed, right? From country to country, they vary, right? And subsequently, we'll see there are many farms in India, many Indian farms are there who have started, not only started, they are already doing, they're raising finance from foreign market. That means substantial part of their capital is coming from foreign country. They export goods, they export services, and they're also investing abroad. They are putting their plant locations. Plants are located also outside the country. So all these are indications that business is getting internationalized. Okay, and this trend, this particular trend of international involvement, since business are getting involved with more than one country, and because of this situation, because of this trend, it is felt that there is a need to understand, there is a need to learn this subject called as international business. Right? Did you get some idea about the basic meaning of international business?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir.
now, what is trade? Trade, broadly we refer to trade means, you can say, some buying and selling activity. And international trade will be understanding it is like this. It is the exchange of goods and services across international borders or across international territories. So goods and services are exchanged between different countries. That is referred to as international trade. Okay, in most countries, such trade represents a significant share in its GDP. Okay, so loosely we'll understand trading beyond the boundary of the country, exchange of goods and services in international borders or across international borders. Okay, so exchange of goods means you'll be selling goods and purchasing goods. Purchase is referred to as import and sale is referred to as export. It may be goods, it may be services. Okay, goods means, let us say you are exporting iron ore, that is export of goods, right? You are importing crude oil, that is import of goods. Is it not? Exporting services, let us say you are providing insurance services to a foreigner, you are exporting a service. Let us say you are getting a banking service from a foreign country, that is import of services. So goods as well as services, both can be exported, both can be imported. That is referred to as international trade. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is one understanding. And one more way, if you see, international trade allows countries to expand their markets. So as you know, within the country markets, the size of the market is limited. You know, there are limited number of customers. The demand of goods are also limited. Isn't it? And if those countries start doing international trading, then their market gets expanded. Yes or no? And it also allows access of goods and services that otherwise may not have been available domestically. So there are many goods and many services which are normally not available in the domestic market, but because of international trade and commerce, it is coming to the country. In your day-to-day life also, you can find many such goods may not be available in domestic country, in the boundary of country. If you go to the market, you may see many, some, let us say, electrical equipments or some toys, etc. You can find they have come from international market. And international trade allows the country people to have access to those goods and services. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and few more other things also need to understand that definitely international market is more competitive. When we are planning to enter into international trade, then we have to deal with international market. International market is good, whether good or bad, that will be learning when we're debating on that issue. Now you see, international market, definitely market size is big, meaning more number of consumers, more number of producers are also there. So market is definitely more competitive. And if you are participating in that market, let us say you are doing trading activities, you have to trade it at a competitive price. Or let us say you are a producer, you have to produce the goods and services at a very competitive price. Then only your products will be sold in international market. So market is competitive. Is it not? And as such, the pricing also should be competitive. Okay, and because of international trade, cheaper products are made available. Cheaper products which are produced in the foreign country comes to a country. Okay.
Excuse me, sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please ask your doubt.
So here you have written that the products are much more cheaper when it comes to domestic area,
Right.
but some products are there which we actually get in a higher price. Like they
Yes.
got it in a cheaper price, but when we receive it, we get in a higher price.
Give me an example. What you are saying? There will be some products like this, but what example you gave just now? I couldn't hear it properly. Please repeat.
What I mean to say is there are some products,
Yeah.
let it be any domestic product or any international product, when it comes to our domestic area, the
Mhm.
price actually rises.
Yeah. You feel
So
so?
yes, sir. So what I'm asking is why international products are much more higher in price when it comes to India.
Mhm. You see, market is normally open, even if there are some controls. You cannot say market is 100% open, but in an ideal situation, international market is quite open. Right. If that is the situation, it is a choice. So products should be available at a cheaper rate. Then only people will consume the same product. Only when it is available at a less price, then people will consume an international product. And if you are saying the products are costly, and with the product is not different, that means there is no product differentiation, but still price is costly. Then normally people will not consume that product. Product will be rejected. Right? Maybe
Yes,
there
sir.
is some kind of product differentiation. Then only it is commanding a higher price and people are still consuming. That is one situation. Okay, it might have entered into the market, but if there is no product differentiation and price is high, people will definitely reject that. One. Second situation where price may be high is that sometimes government or our regulating authorities try to discourage some kind of product. Okay, they don't want that this product should be promoted in our country. So artificially also by, let us say, putting some tariff on those products, prices are increased purposefully. Maybe landing cost is less, but because government wants to discourage the use of that product, prices are increased. That might be the situation. Otherwise, in a normal situation, when the product is appearing in a country, normally it should be cheaper. If the quality is
Yes, sir.
substantially high, which is not comparable with a domestic product, then price will be different. Okay,
Yes, sir.
or the product is something different. Let us say you cannot compare the taste. Tastes are too different. Then there are two different products. Prices are also not comparable. Right. Otherwise, normally when a foreign product is entering into the market, the price should be, you can say, less. It should be cheaper. Okay. Any other query you have?
No, sir.
Okay. Is it clear to you? Are you satisfied?
Yes, sir. Satisfied.
Yeah. Any other query anyone is having? Now, few
No,
more
sir.
things let us learn about international trade and business. As I told you, international trade is the exchange of goods and services between the countries. Right? So trading globally gives consumers and the countries the opportunity to be exposed to goods and services which are not available in their own countries. Maybe the similar goods are not available in the country, but because of international trade, these products are available. If you go to the market, you can find some products which are otherwise not available in the country, but it has been imported from other country. Can you give me some example? Can you give me some example that you feel these products are otherwise not available?
Sir, recently Tesla is coming to India, and this comes under the electric cars segment. So basically, electric car segment is not that much established in India. So yeah, so it is being bought from another country. So
Okay,
yeah,
that is
so
one example. Let me give you some, you could say, day-to-day life example. If you visit to a toy market, you can find many toys which are otherwise not available in India, but it has been imported. Okay, so this gives access to the consumers to those kind of toys. Is it not? Similar kind of thing you can also find out when you visit the electronic market. If you start observing, you can find many products. You can see Indian market, these are actually not available. These are in fact foreign products. Maybe they're marketed by some company in India, but they're foreign products. So there are certain goods and services which are otherwise not available that has been made available. Right? So this is the importance of international trade. And this importance of international trade was recognized long back by our famous economists like Adam Smith and David Ricardo. So they have developed some theories of international trade, which we are going to learn subsequently. Okay. But again, after having understood that, this basic concept, now still we may debate whether international trade or international business is good or bad. Okay, on the basis of certain factors, it may be good. And again, on the basis of some other factors, it may be bad. For some people, it may be bad. Some people, it may be good. Right. But when the market become more and more competitive, definitely it becomes advantageous to the ultimate consumer. When the market is competitive, consumer gets better product at a lesser price. Is it not? So that is the advantage. That is the, you can say, broad advantages of international trade and business. It makes the market more and more competitive. Right? Do you have anything to
Yes,
say
sir.
here? Right. Yeah. Now, few more concepts we need to understand in the context of international business. As you can see in this chart, which I am showing you right now. Let me show you from the very beginning. Just give me a moment. Let us try to understand the business. Now, every business has got some objective. Why you do business? What is the objective of doing business? Can you tell me?
To gain profit.
To gain profit. So you may say my objective is to maximize profit. Okay. So now those who have studied finance, they might talk in a different way. They say no, profit maximization is not the objective. They've understood the concept of value maximization. That means not exactly profit. We'll say we are focusing more on wealth maximization. Okay, shareholders' wealth needs to be, or stakeholders' wealth needs to be maximized. That is the concept of value maximization. That should be the objective of business. And in domestic business as well as in international business, both the kind of business, so we focus on maximizing the value of the business. The business value should grow. Okay, so that is the objective. If that is the objective, to attain that objective, we have to take various business decisions. Okay, through these decisions only we'll be able to achieve the objective. Okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
yeah, is it you are asking something?
No, sir.
Right. So you have to take various business decisions. Now, decisions for our understanding only, right now I am classifying into two categories. One is financial decision, second is operational decision, normal business operational decision. I think you can understand what is financial decision, which is related to finance, which is related to operations. That is my operational decisions, right? And in the financial decision, we can see it, we can classify them as a financing decision. That means where from to get money. Investment decision, where to make investment. Dividend decisions is how to distribute the profits. These are the decisions which are called as financial decisions we take. Operational decisions are many. There might be HR decision, there might be marketing decision, there might be production related decision, there are many other decisions which are operational decisions. And in any business, we take all these decisions. Is it done? Now, how do you take these decisions in a business? We take the decision by comparing the risk and return. Comparing the risk and return. That means in a decision, what is the risk involved and what is the return expected of that business. We compare both the things. Okay, just 1 second, students. Well, friends, yeah, what I was talking about, that in any business, we take so many decisions. Or you can say all these decisions are the part of any business. And how to take decisions? We need to know, you need to learn to take decisions if you want to do business. Whether it is international business or whether it is our domestic business. And to take this decision, I need to know what is the risk involved in that decision. I also need to know what is the return associated with that decision. Every decision you take, there will be some benefit, is it not? You are expecting some kind of benefit of that decision, yes or no? You think by taking that decision, you will get some benefit. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And you know, there is no certainty. Are you sure that 100% will be getting some benefit?
Always
But-
risk is involved in business
Yeah,
activities.
so there is always a doubt, no? Suppose you feel I will do that business, I will get this much of profit. So what you are expecting, that is your return, this much of profit. But are you give 100% guarantee that definitely this much profit will be there?
No, sir.
No. That means when you take a decision, you are taking a risk. Is it that?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes,
for
sir.
that decision, how much risk you can take for how much return? That is again one more issue here. Can you take this much of decision? Can you take this much of risk? So every time,
Without risk, nothing is possible, sir.
yeah, without risk, nothing is possible. So minus risk, you cannot do business. The moment we are talking about business, that means we are ready to take the risk. Okay. And here, in this context, in the context of business, we'll understand the risk means fluctuations in our expectation or the variation in your expectation. What do you expect? If you are not getting, that is the risk in any business. Okay. A return can be understood as the profit or the wealth you are ultimately getting. That is your return. But what we are expecting, you may not get that thing. You are expecting 20%, but you are getting 2%. That is a risk. You are expecting 20%, you are getting 2%. Then there is no risk. For example, let us say you are keeping money in the fixed deposit in a bank. You know what is the rate of interest. You know you will get 6%, you are getting actually 6%. Is there any variation between your expectation and actual return? When you
No,
deposit
sir.
money in fixed deposit, is there any variation?
No, sir.
No. So there is no risk.
Stable, sir.
Okay, you can say relatively there is no risk because you expected and you get the same thing. But why then people are not keeping money in the bank? Instead, they are doing business because they want more return. But if they are going for more return, they have to take risk. Is it done? So they feel
Yes,
that
sir.
bank is giving 6%, I will be getting 10%. For that thing, I have to do business. So they will come to the business, or I will get 20%. But 20%, there is no guarantee. So that is the risk somebody takes. So if you want to understand the business, first of all, we have to understand that business is a combination of all these decisions. And all these decisions involve some kind of risk, and also it will give you some reward, which is my return. So now big challenge is that to compare this risk with return, that how much of risk one should take to expect a return, or if he's expecting this much of return, how much of risks he should take. Okay, if I'm taking risk, what is the return I should expect? Or if I'm expecting this much of return, how much of risk I should take? One should know. Right? And this is true for all businesses, not only international business, also in domestic business, these things are involved. Yes or no? In domestic business, also this kind of risk and return concept is there or not?
It is there,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, yes, you are agreeing in the domestic business also, we expect return and
Risk
we
is involved.
risk is also there and we expect return. But now here the difference between the international business and domestic business is that, now what do you think? In international business, risk will be more or less?
Sir,
Income.
more due to the price fluctuations.
Yeah. So you feel risk will be more. If risk will be more, would you like to take more risk with the same return? Would you like to do that? I will take more risk for the same return.
Sir, it depends on various personalities, whether they would like to take or
Okay.
not.
No. In this case, try to understand the question clearly. Whether it depends on various personalities, you will get one answer. My question is, let us say you are taking risk of X and return is 10%. For that same 10%, would you like to take more risk?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Nobody will take. Invariably, nobody will take. Because if I'm getting 10% at a particular risk, I should not take more risk for that. If I'm taking more risk, let us say X plus 1, I'm taking risk, then return should be definitely something more. Otherwise, nobody will do it. Are you getting?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Definitely nobody will take. Suppose risk is X, return is 10%. If risk is slightly more, X plus 1, the return should be definitely 10% plus something. Otherwise, no one will take, because same return is available at less risk. Why should I take more return, more risk? Okay. And since in international business, as you say, risk is more. Risk is more means you are dealing with different environment. Your expectations are different. You are dealing with different market. And you are dealing with different currencies which keeps on fluctuating. So your profit is facing a big risk. And because of this big risk is more, return should be more or less.
More, sir.
More.
Yes. So definitely return is more. Now I think you have got an answer that why then we should do international business. There are other reasons, but one of the reason is that return is more. Since return is more, we are ready to take more risk. Okay. Since return is more, we are ready to take more risk. Did you understand this concept?
Yes, sir.
So this
Yes,
is
sir.
our today's lesson. In fact, today's basic understanding is that we have understood what kind of decisions are taken in any business. We have seen it. And we know how the decisions are taken, how risk and returns, or what is the necessity of comparing the risk and return. Because on that basis only we'll be able to take a decision whether we should do the business, whether accept a particular decision or not. Take a before taking a particular decision, we need to compare the risk and return. So that is our understanding for today. This gives us